Okay, picture this, a national hero, a death row confession, and a single piece of paper that's been fueling a huge debate for over 100 years. Today we're diving into one of the most fascinating mysteries in Philippine history, the supposed retraction of Jose Rizal.
So it really all boils down to this one huge question. Did the man who basically defined a nation's fight for independence just suddenly abandon the very principles he was about to die for? Or is there a lot more to this story than meets the eye?
To even begin to unpack all this, we first need to get a handle on the man at the center of it all, Jose Rizal.
You see, Jose Rizal wasn't just a patriot. He was the intellectual heart and soul of the Philippine Revolution. Through his incredibly powerful novels and essays, he just ripped the mask off the injustices of Spanish colonial rule. And for doing that, well, he was branded a rebel, charged with sedition, and sentenced to death.
This entire historical firestorm hinges on one piece of paper. This document claims Rizal renounced all his anti-Catholic beliefs, and you gotta understand, those beliefs were totally tied up in his fight for his country's freedom. But the big question, the one that never goes away, is, did he really sign it?
All right, so let's first look at the evidence for the claim that Rizal did, in fact, take back everything he stood for.
The timeline itself is, well, it's pretty suspicious, right? The story of the retraction gets published right after Rizal's execution in 1896, but the actual physical document? Poof! It vanishes. It doesn't turn up for nearly 4 decades. I mean, that long, questionable gap is a huge reason this is even a controversy.
And this right here is the core of that document. It translates to, I retract with all my heart whatever in my words, writings, publications, and conduct has been contrary to my character as a son of the Catholic Church. Wow, that sounds like a powerful and seemingly total surrender if it's authentic. Now, the foundation for the pro-retraction argument really rests on eyewitness testimony. You've got a priest, Father Vicente Balaguer, who claimed Rizal had this complete spiritual reversal right there in his cell. Then there was a military officer, Lieutenant Mariano Martinez Gallegos, who testified that he personally watched Rizal write and sign the document. Those are some powerful accounts for sure. But that's only one side of this story. What if the motive wasn't about faith at all? What if it was about something far more practical?
This theory completely reframes the whole event. It suggests that Rizal, who was a brilliant thinker right to the very end, wasn't having some crisis of faith. Instead, he was making a calculated final move, a chess move really, to protect the people he cared about most from the wrath of the colonial church and state.
So what were these pragmatic reasons? Well, first off, to legally marry his partner Josephine Bracken. A Catholic marriage would give her legitimacy and protect her after he was gone. Second, it might have been an attempt to shield his own family from more persecution by the powerful Spanish friars. And finally, maybe it was just a simple gesture of gratitude to the Jesuit priests who are offering him some human comfort in those final lonely hours.
This pragmatic view forces us to really think about a more complex idea of heroism, especially what it means to be a hero under extreme, unbelievable pressure.
It is absolutely crucial to look at the fine print here, what the retraction didn't say. If he signed it, the text specifically focuses on his rejection of Masonry, which was a direct conflict with the Catholic Church at the time. It never, not once, disavows his political writings, like Noli Me Tangere or El Filibusterismo, the very books that built his legacy. He wasn't renouncing his patriotism, just an affiliation.
So after more than a century, why does this debate still captivate people? Why does it still divide so many?
Because it makes us wrestle with this really difficult question. Can an act made under the immense pressure of your own execution truly diminish a lifetime of courage? It challenges our neat, tidy definitions of what it even means to be a hero.
And ultimately, that's the question we're all left with. Was Jose Rizal's legacy sealed by a few contested sentences on a piece of paper? Or was it forged by the entirety of a life he lived and ultimately gave in service to his country? That's for history, and for each of us to decide.